Hello again, Fleet Commanders. Tiberius here, back with another video for you. Wanted to talk about the event store. I had held off putting this video out there because I wanted to see if they were making any changes to the events and to the currency, and we did find out that they added a couple things back to the store. Specifically, Una right here, who was there for about 4 hours, and we all saw her, and then they took her out, and we're like, no, that was a mistake, and then we said, no, you have to put her back. We saw her. She's supposed to be there. And they did agree, and they did add her back. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But now that we know more about the calendar, the months, we can kind of forecast a little bit better what the standard player, the free-to-play path, is going to look like for people in terms of loot. It'll be more consistent with previous months, because at the start of the month, the calendar looked really thin for people who did not have the Mantis. Either you didn't buy it or you weren't Ops 33 and you couldn't build it. And you couldn't participate in those events. Those events were paying out a lot of event store currency. Again, we voiced our opinions. Scopely listened. They made some revisions to the calendar, which we'll see coming up here in week 2 of the arc, where those Mantis-only events will now have alternative scoring mechanisms. Don't know what those are going to be, how much harder it's going to be for people to get points, but there will still be a path to completion, which is all we can ask for at this point. And then we'll be able to get that event store currency. This is the stuff we want here. These are the Action keys. There are a handful of them available in the Battle Pass. In the top half, you have a couple smaller areas. If you are below Ops 33, there are a couple points in both the top and the bottom half where there is this Mantis-related pieces. Because you are below Ops 33, you don't have the access and the ability to get the ship. So some of these items are replaced here, and there's one here. Those are replaced with more event store currency. So in this case, being a lower level player actually works to your advantage slightly in terms of your payout. Rather than give you materials for a ship you're not capable of building yet, the blueprints are still there, but the materials aren't. They've been replaced, so you'll get a little bit extra in the event store currency. So let's talk about a few things. First thing I always do, I always like to make myself a little spreadsheet. I know, it's cheesy, but I always do it. Make yourself a little spreadsheet, start eyeballing some things, pull them all out. See kind of, what you might be thinking about getting. And these are a few things that just caught my eye as things that are probably more useful to where I am right now. I have 2 accounts, Ops 30 and Ops 45, and looking at things that might be more useful and more of a need, and we'll get into all that. Previous arcs, 300,000 is kind of a good estimate. When there are ticketed events, which there are this month, sometimes the ticketed events also pay out event store currency, so then you're also going to have some fluctuations in the amount of loot you get based on the amount of tickets you have, if you've saved them from previous months, which is what I started doing towards the end of last month, thinking ahead a little bit. I skipped a couple of days of ticketed events so I could build up an extra like 40 or 50 tickets so I could do a few more ticketed events this month. Or if you happen to buy a ticket bundle pack or something previously, you'll have the ability to do multiple of those ticketed events when they launch and get extra loot. There's also a few other events, like some of the solo leaderboard events, depending on where you finish, which I think is what we've got going on right now. Like we have this combat event that has a solo leaderboard component, and based on where you finish, there are different levels of loot. So again, this is up to you how much you want to grind for the additional payouts. And occasionally we also get alliance leaderboards that pay out this event store currency. So wherever your alliance finishes will also vary the amount you get. If you start with 300,000 as a good base level, if you come in higher, great, you got a little extra to spend. If you come in a little lower, well, maybe something that's further down on your wish list is something that you just don't get this time around. We're going to start. I'm going to work from right to left this time. We'll mix it up a little bit. Frames and avatars, purely cosmetic in nature. The only thing these do are make your account look different. If there's nothing else here you want, sure, go at it. But nothing in here actually helps your gameplay. So to me, that's an easy skip. If you're a high-level player and you have everything already, well then maybe here's something you can spend some currency on. But this stuff ain't cheap. 300,000 for an avatar. That's basically your whole event store. You get one avatar. Congratulations. That's all you got for the whole month. How about a frame? What's that cost? Oh, 75,000. Or maybe the captain's chair, right? That's another 150,000. That's your whole, half your event store. Just spent on something that looks a little decorative. That's up to you. Special currencies. There are a handful of items in here. These would not be the big ticket items. Talked about another event store. There's always you want to try and get that one big thing that's really going to have an impact on your account, and then you'll kind of round out with what you've got left with things like this. These are more like a tier 2 or a tier 3 type of item. Nanoprobes, you can get these through the Borg Refinery. They're limited to pattern buffers for the old holodeck missions. Jury's kind of still out on those as to whether the rewards are even worth doing. Obviously, you can go look up the missions on stfc.space and figure out, are the rewards really worth what you're paying? You're paying $7,500 to be able to go back and do one old mission. Maybe you get one epic officer shard. Maybe you get a rare officer shard. Probably not really worth it. Mycelium, no. Syndicate XP, obviously this just went up exponentially in value with the new levels added and the new buffs added. You got to get to Syndicate level 30 before any of that stuff kicks in. So picking up a little extra XP to kind of move you along that path. Can't argue with that. And Trade XP is another good one to pick up. This one has an immediate impact. If you can add some traits to a couple of your officers, it'll help with your away team missions. You'll hit more criticals. The away teams will pay out better amounts for hitting those criticals. You can pick up extra resources. You can pick up extra faction credits. You can pick up extra chunks of latinum and things that will actually have a more of a daily impact. Even though some of the away teams take 2 or 3 days, it'll still have a more immediate impact on your game. Independent credits, these are always hard to source, but I am always a little leery of the cost. 19,000 for 500 faction credits for independent credits. These are harder to get. There's a growing number of officers that are needing these now to level up. All of your Borg officers need them. Khan and the Augment group all need them. The Eclipse, the Mud, and all of the Mud crew, they all need them. I think Lorca may also. Forget offhand if he does or not. With the Lorca, Tilly, they're not Federation. They're from the Mirror Universe. They might also require independent credits. Epic officers do take big chunks, and when you're getting close to that final tier, to max out Khan, I currently need about 25,000 of these. And since you can, but you can source these other ways through the Borg Refinery, through the Augment store. So they're nice. I don't know if they're necessarily worth the cost in here. Urbanite and Culvin particles, these are for the Cerritos. If you're under Ops 36, these don't have any value for you. Axion chips, you get these daily. These are good for leveling up your exocomp factory and pulling those bundles for the extra exocomps. Wouldn't really buy them there. Cultivated mycelium is your jump juice. That's what it's here. 80k for 30. And then it's here again. 480k for 150. So you're getting an extra 80k out of that. 80k for 30 times 5 would be 400,000. So if you're somebody who really likes to disco all over the place, maybe for a high-level player, maybe this will be something that'd be worth it for you. So you can disco out to far-range armadas or out to, summoning ships out to G5 mining space or whatever. Maybe that's worth it for you. This is the thing I want to talk about real quick, the Cloaked Racketeer token, because it is a racket. This token, which costs 60,000, lets you do a prime research that if you were playing the game when cloaking was introduced, you got for free. What that prime research does, somewhere here in the galaxy tree, I believe it is, where all your cloaking researches are, it gives you this prime cloaked racketeer, which increases the rewards from your daily cloaking missions. Doubles them up, 100%. Gives you 45,000 for power. So it's really great once for like a solo leaderboard research event to get 45,000 points. But all this effectively does is when you have your cloaking dailies, one pays instead of paying 75, it pays 150. And the other one, instead of paying 40, it pays out 45. It pays out 90. 240 a day versus 120 a day. Currently, there are only a handful of researches that you can do in that little cloaking wing that use this stuff. Even if you're just getting 45 a day, 2 or 3 days, you're getting over 100. And most of these researches that are out here don't take all that much. Even this one here, which is 8, only requires 380 to do. And this is tier 8. The lower level ones are a lot lower, 45, 50, 100, 125, going tier 3, tier 4. And a lot of these are going to be level locked by your ops level. So as a player who's just getting cloaking at 26 with one of those, G3 uncommon faction ships, all this is going to do, you're going to get enough. The first week or two, you're going to be like, yeah, I can bang out 3 or 4 levels of each of these researches. Oh, I don't have enough materials. I wish I had this thing to double it up. But that's it. That's the shelf life of it, about the first 2 to 3 weeks. After that, you're going to be like, okay, well, now I've got to get my ops up 2 levels. Well, how long is it going to take you to do that? 3 or 4 weeks? Well, if you're doing your cloaking daily every day, you're going to have 500 or 1,000, depending on whether you do one or both, if you can do both. You can't do both every day because of the amount of tetrons they pay you out, but if you do both 2 or 3 times a week, you still get some pretty good payouts out of it. You're going to have quite a big chunk of it by the time you move your ops level up, and then you can tier up some of these things. But this is it. It's only just these handful of researches all right in this little section right here. So, very limited shelf life, and paying 60,000, 20% of your event store being spent on that thing, no thank you. That's my one. There's a thing to avoid. There's landmine number 1. There's a couple of them we're going to talk about. This is a landmine. Skip right over it. Not worth doing. And that's going to do it for what's in that little pool. So we're moving along here now. We're about to come into the cloaking. This is where there's also refits for things. If you have a refit, I have a couple of them. They won't appear in the store. So there may be other options for you as well for some of the other ships. You've got, obviously, the cloaking refits for the 28s. The 34s are available in here. The jellyfish, the sarcophagus. There's also the refit skins for the G3 epics. The Enterprise, the D4, and the Augur should be in here. And you have the weapon refits as well. These are also available through the Amalgam refinery. And it's a very minor upgrade. Penetration stats by 20%. It's a slight increase. I think this one increases damage by 10%. Yeah, weapon damage by 10%. Not that big of an increase. But these are also available other ways over here in your Amalgam refinery. You can get them. It's a long, slow process, but you can get them once you have the Amalgam and you unlock this refinery. Probably not worth... Again, they're not really a high-value item. They're not going to change your gameplay very much. And you have another path to get them. So probably something that's further down the wish list. Landmine number 2. If you have a USS Cerritos and you're really excited and you're thinking about buying this refit for your Cerritos, do not, under any circumstances, hit that button. You will have just wasted 6,000 event store currency. You can hit the button if you're comfortable losing 6,000 event store currency. You see this right here. Limit 125 shards, 125 chests. Here's the problem. It only costs 120 to unlock the dang refit. Somebody done screwed up their math. So they priced it and worked it out for 125 when it's only 120 to do the refit. Oops. So you will have to manually hit that button 24 times to get your 120 to save yourself 6,000 event store currency, which is 1 epic officer shard or 3 rare officer shards, or maybe a syndicate XP bundle or something, or some ship parts to get the Cerritos refit if that's something that you wanted. Other cloaking refits, these are all available in your faction stores. You can save on some faction credits by picking these things up here, but again, they're readily available for you in the faction store. Probably better ways to spend your event store currency on things that are not readily available to you. All right, resources. Repeat the last sentence I just said. These are nice. These could be helpful. Probably better ways to spend your currency than things you have readily available to you in a number of other ways. Daily refineries, battle pass rewards, mission rewards, event rewards. Plenty of stuff in here. All the different packs and things you can buy. Again, if you're like, once you pick up 1 or 2 things and you're like, all right, I got, 35,000 points left to spend. Maybe something in here gets you a ship part upgrade or helps you upgrade a building or do a research. Pick it up to round out, what you're spending at the end of the month. But it's not like primarily going to be one of your big ticket items. Unless you're like a level 49 player and there's nothing else like you need and you're like, I need to get to 50. What do I need? I need a lot of rare ore. Just start cashing it in. Okay. I mean, that's if there's nothing else here that's useful to you, well, then go for it. But for the average player, I'm not going to recommend really picking up maybe more than like 1 or 2 bundles here just to sort of round something out again at the end of the month. Well, that was quick. We just went through the first 4 tabs. So what's left? This is where you're going to get the stuff that's going to see an impact. Ship parts. You've got parts for a number of specialty ships that are available here. You've got your Cerritos if you're 36. You've got your Franklin. This is the basic Franklin, not the Franklin A. You've got your Devore parts for the regular Devore. Spore drive ports, Spore drive parts for the Discovery, and the Discovery Research also takes these. Plutonium here, that's a waste. Skip right on over that. This is for the hijacked ships, which you should not be building under any circumstances, or investing resources in. You can build it, leave it in the garage, because it's a nice cute thing that is level 5 with nothing added to it. But don't waste your time and resources on a ship that you can't scrap and it doesn't get very strong. So it's really just a black hole of, you're throwing money down into. These are the different warp interlocks for the regular Franklin. So these are for the Franklin A if you wanted to build a second one. Because when you build the first one, you get missions. Advance periodically. Here's the component you need because the ship is level locked. It will only let you upgrade it and tier it up as your ops level increases. It will then give you the component and complete the mission, and you can do that once. So if you want to build a second Franklin or a second Franklin A, don't know why you would, but just in case you really like, grind and swarm, and you want to build a second one, you would need to pick up these warp particles or conduits so that you could upgrade it each tier. And they have them for both, the Franklin and the Franklin A. So if you built your Franklin, grinded it all the way to tier 9 and scrapped it so you could build a Franklin A for free, and you're like, I really miss my old Franklin. I wish I had it for just, you could build a second one. Don't know why you would. The Franklin A is so much better, but it's here for an option. Not obviously something I would recommend you spend resources picking up. But over here's some fun stuff. So If you build a second Fuchsia, same thing. Again, you'll need the warp interlocks, which you're level capped at. Um, but Fuchsia parts and Amalgam parts are in here, and these two ships are notoriously slow to upgrade. And these could have an immediate impact on your game. Upgrading the Amalgam upgrades the refinery, which gives you honor guard wharf shards, those skin shard trackers that I was talking about that give you the weapons or the ship skins, and obviously having your Amalgam tiered up gives it a larger cargo bay and a better ship ability because it's going to be tiered up higher. That's going to then multiply the number of extra resources you're stealing from your opponents when you're doing base raiding. And then the Fuchsia, tiering that up, your daily Latinum conversions are going to pay out a lot more. They're going to pay out more parts, but they're also going to pay out more Latinum. You know, at the last time we were here, I upgraded my Fuchsia in the event store from tier 5 all the way up to tier 7, and I went from like 4,000 Latinum a day to like 8,700 Latinum a day. And, you know, over the course of 3 months, 4,000 extra Latinum a day, 90 days, 360,000 Latinum. 9, 18, 36, yeah. So that's something that had an immediate impact on my game. Not saying necessarily that that's what you should do, but something to keep in mind, something to keep up there. Can I move my, again, the Fuchsia is level locked. You can only get it to tier 4, I think, if you're under Ops 39 or 40, before you can move it up. They don't want you advancing that ship too quickly. And then there is a big jump in the amount of Latinum that you get going from tier 4 to tier 5, and then again from higher than that. But that's, again, something to keep in mind. It's a thing that's hard to get. Your daily, you're only paying out, just like with the regular Devore, you're only getting these slow pieces on a regular basis unless you're trying to win the Latinum Rush Monday events and get those extra payouts. It's going to take you a while to really get your ship moving. So these two are, kind of like a tier 2 kind of wish list item. Definitely above resources because these are going to have, again, these are harder to acquire on a regular, consistent basis. So being able to move them up might advance your game a little bit faster. If you have just the regular Devore still, you're a lower level player, or you have a second one that you're maybe trying to get up so you could scrap to get a Fuchsia, that one you're going to have to do the math on. Because over in the ship parts, and the ship blueprints, we also have Fuchsia blueprints. So maybe the amount of Devore parts you need might not be as beneficial as, to get your current Devore to tier 9 so you can scrap it to get a Fuchsia for free. Maybe you just buy some blueprints over there, and then you don't have to push your Devore as high, and maybe you get it to tier 8 and scrap it for half the blueprints, and you buy the other half in the store. Might work out to be a little more cost effective depending on how many components you still need to upgrade. And for that, I'd highly recommend checking out stfc.space. Great website. You can look up all kinds of ship components and things like that and see. If I wanted to go to ships, stfc.space, look at a Devore. Bam, right there. If mine is tier 7 and I wanted to go to tier 9, I need 425,000 Devore parts. Let's just hypothetically say, where I'm tier 8. You got it to tier 8. What am I going to need to go the rest of the way? 255,000 parts, right? Well, what's that going to cost me? Oh my God. $255,000 divided by 500 means I need 510 bundles times 1100. 561,000 event store currency to buy all of the Devore parts to go from tier 8 to tier 9. So you can scrap a tier 9 and get a full Fuchsia unlock, or if you had it at tier 8 and scrapped it and got half the blueprints, what would the ship cost you? We'll jump ahead and take a look because we're going to ship blueprints next. But bam, because the ships in the ship blueprints here stop at shipyard level 39. They don't go any higher than that. So if you're, a player in your 40s, You're not going to find any help here in terms of new ships, but there is still some stuff in here that does have some value. But I did want to look at the Fuchsia real quick to finish up this point. You can get half the Fuchsia. 5 of these cost $62.50. I can buy 60 of them, so I can buy 12 times $62.50. Just so you can see the math, 75,000. That's a hell of a lot less. So if I had a tier 8 Devore, I could just scrap that, spend 75,000, buy the other half of the Fuchsia components of the blueprints right here, and call it a day. Now you do miss out on the differences between the tier 8 and the tier 9 Devore refinery, which is a slight increment to Latinum every day. At tier 9, it does separate into 2 different refineries, one for Latinum and one for Devore parts. So they're not together anymore once you've maxed out your Devore. But it's a long grind to get there. And some people may not feel it's worth it. And if you're one of those people, here's your alternate path. Spend $75,000, buy half your Fuchsia blueprints. Spend $75,000, buy half your Fuchsia blueprints, keep working on your Devore. Next time an event store rolls around in 3 to 4 months, come back, buy the other half for $75,000. Now you've got a Fuchsia. This is Ops 35 to build the Fuchsia, so if you're below that, you may not see this in your event store. Other ships. Well, we've got the ones that are available in Cosmic Cleanup that probably have some value to you. Picking up a little faster because there's the Vidar, there's the North Star, there's the Discovery. I don't see the... Well, there's the Franklin. So those are the 4 early level ships that you can get. I forget what the North Star is, what the payout is, but the Franklin, it may be the same. The Franklin, the Discovery, and the Vidar all take 10 weeks. Cosmic Cleanup does run every Saturday now. So every Saturday for 10 weeks, you could get it, and you'll get 1/10 of the blueprints to build one of these ships. So 10 weeks to get a Discovery. After that, 10 weeks to save up toward getting a Vidar at 25. A Franklin at 21. You're going to move faster from 17 when you get the Franklin to 21 where you get the Discovery to 25 where you get the Vidar. That's 30 weeks. 10 weeks for each ship. That's 7 months. It's not going to take you 7 months to go from Ops 17 to Ops 25. It's probably going to take you like 2 or 3 months at best. Even if you're just sort of taking your time with it, yeah, maybe 3 months. 2 to 3 months is a realistic number there. So you can do it faster, even without spending. You don't have to spend. You can still move through the game faster than that if you want to. But picking up some blueprints for those ships to speed that along, that process, isn't bad. Franklin blueprints, they're fairly cheap for what you need for the bundles. You can get the whole ship for 18. Where'd my calculator go? I closed it. I thought I was done with it. You need 18 pulls, 3,500, 63,000 gets you a Franklin. I'm going to move the calculator over here. You'll just have to trust me on the math. You've come this far. By the way, if you've come this far, be sure and hit the like button if you like what I've been doing so far. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel. I do also live stream on Twitch. You can find the link to that down below. So you can hit that and come follow me over there, and then we can talk live about this kind of stuff, which is always fun. And you can leave a comment about what you're planning on getting with your event store. I know I'm asking for 3 things: a like, a follow, and a comment. But I don't think that's too much to ask between friends, right? All right. Let's get back to it. Discovery. You can get a whole Discovery. 3,800, 20 pulls, 76,000. Get you a whole Discovery. Now that's 10 less weeks that you'd have to spend going through Cosmic Cleanup. Do you need to buy the whole thing? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you buy half of it and then, get the other half through Cosmic Cleanup. Save yourself some currency. Save yourself a little time. Again, depending where you are ops level wise. North Star, you move through the game so fast, the North Star kind of feels like an outdated ship a little bit to me these days. But the Vidar doesn't. The Vidar is awesome. That's at 25. That becomes available to you. Again, 20 pulls, 3,800, 76,000 gets you a full Vidar. Do you need a full one? Probably not. But picking up, 20 blueprints here cuts a month. You get it a month faster for 15,000. That might not be a bad thing to pick up, again, just picking up a few of those blueprints. Speaking of picking up a few blueprints, if you are in that Ops 36 range where you can get the Cerritos, I'm going to segue. I was going to go to the Amalgam next, but I'm going to segue because I just had this thought on the Cerritos. So the Cerritos is available free to play through an event every Wednesday when you are Ops level 36 called California Class. It has 4 milestones in it. Takes you 3,000, 6,000, 9,000, and then 15,000 points to finish up. And when you finish it up, you get 10 blueprints for the Cerritos. You need 100 to build the ship. When you collect 10 sets of blueprints from that event goes away, and you stop getting it. And you have your Cerritos completely for free. However, if you buy 10 blueprints from the factions, this event store here, and only finish the event 9 times or less, and don't finish it that 10th time, it will keep coming back every Wednesday, which means that you can do the first 3 milestones, get all of the rewards, which are titanium and crystal, common and uncommon crystal, and big chunks of titanium based on your ops level. And then don't finish that 4th milestone. Just stop at the 9,000 point threshold and be like, I'm done. I'm not playing this event anymore. And next Wednesday, it'll come back for you because you haven't collected 100 blueprints through that event. That's the trigger that makes that event go away. So if you are a player in this range where you can pick up Cerritos blueprints and you're thinking, well, the ship's for free, I get it through that thing every Wednesday, buy 10. Buy 10, do that event 9 times, build your ship, have your Cerritos, and only go to the 3rd milestone after that. Trust me, you'll enjoy the rewards immensely. If you're curious, again, we can go back to our friends over at stfc.space. We go to the home. We go to the events tab right here. Hey, look, California Class. It's right there. Runs every week, like I said, every Wednesday. So just look at one. Based on your ops level, you can see what you get. This mission token that it says is the 10 blueprints. So if you're 35 to 39, you're getting, you're only doing these first 3 milestones, whatever your point thresholds are. But there's 4, 6, 7.5 million titanium, plus some tokens, plus some crystal, both common, uncommon, and rare G3. If you're above that and you're in this 40 to 50 range, well, now you're getting 4-star and 3-star materials and bigger chunks of latinum. 15 and another 15 here is, titanium. I said latinum. It's titanium. 30 million titanium plus common, uncommon, and rare G3 and common and uncommon G4. And it's, 40, about another 90, 95 uncommon crystal for free every Wednesday until something changes. So that's a nice bet. Oh, plus you get some tokens too. I didn't count the tokens. There's another 30 million in tokens. So you get 30 million titanium plus another 30 million in tokens plus, some crystal every Wednesday. Just don't do that last milestone. All right. Moving back. Cosmic Cleanup. Not done with it yet. There's 2 other ships that are available through Cosmic Cleanup. The Amalgam at 31 and the Sarcophagus, which is also available around then. I think. I'll have to go check now. This is awkward. I forgot to check when you can build a sarcophagus. If I go by shipyard level, I think it's 31. I could look this up on stfc.space as well. So it's in here, so it's got to be 30, because these are the faction ships you can build at 30. These are the 28s. These are 30, so it has to be right there at 30. The sarcophagus takes 80 blueprints, but because it's an epic ship, they only give you 4 blueprints per week through cosmic cleanup, meaning it would take you 20 weeks to acquire the blueprints to build it. That's a long-ass time, and the ship ain't that good. It's really only useful right now for territory capture. That may change a little bit because it is technically a battleship, and now we have these new officers, these strike team officers that do interesting things on battleships. I don't know that it's going to make this ship that much better because, again, its strength comes from holding attacking nodes or defending nodes during territory capture. It's slow as hell as well. Takes a while to get there. Very vulnerable. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage while it's on its way to the node. And how many contested territories are there really on any given week in a server? Some servers are a little more active than others, but from what I've seen for the most part, yeah, there's little skirmishes here and there. And then it kind of dies down for a couple weeks, and then somebody, decides to make a little push for something else, or they want a better resource or something, or Scopely changes the resource bundles that are available in each territory every 6 months. And people are like, oh, these territories aren't as good anymore. Let's go take those over there instead. And then things quiet down again. So you've got a ship that's very expensive. It is an epic, so it does take larger amounts of resources to upgrade, as well as special resources to upgrade. Definitely not a priority to build, so skip it. The Amalgam, however, is not worth skipping. This is Base Raider Extraordinaire. It also does have the benefit, potentially, as a secondary use. Its warp range does get up pretty high, pretty quickly. So by Tier 4, Tier 5, I think you can get it to 60 or 80, so it can reach some farther nodes. Good for overnight mining. The mining rate on it is slow for other resources. But, if you're going to go to sleep for 8 hours, park an Amalgam on a node that has, 50k or 60,000 resources in it, even if you're mining at 6,000 or 7,000 an hour, that's fine. You don't want to go OPC. You don't want to zero node it, because then it gives people most ROEs, rules of engagements on servers, let you hit ships that are either over the protected cargo limit or on a zero node. If this thing's mining at 5,000 an hour instead of a regular miner, which might be doing 10, 15, 20,000 an hour, you're going to hit that zero node a lot faster. So it's got a good secondary purpose for overnight mining. You wake up, bam, your daily might be done already or something like that. Its primary use is base raiding. We covered that a little earlier with the parts. It does take a while to upgrade. It does have a separate refinery, which has a 3-day cooldown on it, so you're only getting parts 2 days a week, basically. The payout, it takes 100 blueprints to build. The payout through Cosmic Cleanup gives you 8. Which means it takes 13 weeks, because 8 times 12 is 96, and you'll be short by 4. If you want to save yourself at least a week, you can pick up 5 right there. I would recommend at least picking up 5 to save yourself the week, but realistically pick up 20. And then you can get the other 80 through the event. That's 10 weeks. Again, like the other ships, it kind of cuts it down to a 10-week timeline in order to acquire it. So you pick up 20 through here, you get the other 80 through Cosmic Cleanup, and you have your Amalgam in 10 weeks, just like your other ships, without any extra blueprints. If you want to just pick up 5 to save yourself that 13th week, you can finish it in 12. That's also fine, a reasonable strategy as well. Again, we talked about the Fisha earlier. If you're 39, ISS Jellyfish, these blueprints require either luck in rare and epic chests above Ops 36, um, or if you have a territory, you can buy like 5 blueprints a week. Realistically, they come in bundles of 1, 5, and 15, but 15 requires so much refined isogen. I don't realistically think that's a number that anybody could actually hit. Even if you were mining and doing like 4-box pulls, I don't think you could reach the number you would need to do a 15 chest open to get 15 jellyfish blueprints in a week. So realistically, you're getting 5 blueprints a week for the jellyfish from your territory. If your alliance has a territory, a 3-star system on your territory map, there's only 6 of them. We'll pop out and take a look just to make sure you guys know what I'm talking about. So if you're looking at your territory map, there are these 3-star systems. There are only 6 of them. And if your alliance holds one of them, the territory buffs for it, one of them is ISS Jellyfish Constructor. They would have to spend resources to turn this on. And then that would give your alliance the ability to claim jellyfish blueprints once per week. Again, it's a weekly cooldown. You're getting like 5 a week realistically. Jellyfish is a pretty decent ship to pick up for Ops, people approaching Ops 39. So being able to make your life a little easier by picking up a handful of blueprints from here. Make sure you get the ISS Jellyfish. This is the level 39 one. The level 25 or 12 one is back here. This is toward the bottom of my list, but it is actually something that you'll find surprisingly valuable. People look at this ship and they're like, well, this is a level 12 ship. What the heck do I want with that for? You get 25 blueprints from missions. The other 50 that you need to build it, you have to get somewhere else. Well, for 20,000, you can get the rest of those blueprints. So a nice way to sort of round things out for you again at the end of the month. Get those last blueprints, build yourself a baby jelly. Why on earth would I want to build that? Incursions. Base defense. If you watch my base defense video, I kind of explain it in more detail. The abridged version is the jellyfish's ship ability boosts the captain's maneuver by, X%. When it's completely maxed out at tier 7, it adds 70% to the captain's maneuver. And there are certain captains who have great abilities for PvP, like, say, Yuki, who does shield stripping, or Crass, who cancels the other captain's ability. People like that. So adding a huge additional value on top of it makes it that much more potent and that much more effective. So when other players are attacking your base during an incursion, or if you just happen to leave your shields down one night or something like that, it's going to make it that much harder for them to get through your base and hit you. Or if you're at war with somebody, whatever, they're going to come attack you. It's a very nice little, again, like I said, not like I gotta get a jellyfish, but it's like I bought the stuff I want and I've got 30 or 40,000 left. Well, I could get the jellyfish and then maybe like a resource bundle or two. Not a bad way to spend some stuff. I go into a lot more detail, like I said, in my base defense video that I put out back in June when Incursions was announced. Other fun things in the ship blueprints. Well, your G3 epics are here if you don't have one of those yet, but these are incredibly expensive. 21,000 per blueprint. And you need 150, so that's, 300 and something thousand to get the ship for full. Use your away team store. This is what you want to save your faction credits for, are getting these. And your away team currency, again, can get you your G3 epic ships. Your 32s, most people recommend skipping those. Your faction miners, same thing. Kind of skip these for now. When you're doing faction grinding later to improve your faction rep, you're going to have so many of these from killing 30s and high-level 30s and 40s, working on your faction rep, that these are just going to drop into your lap. And you can build them up and circle back to them later because, again, these all take the same resources. It's G3 crystal and gas, no matter which of them you want to build. They're all the same. And those are resources that you're either going to want for your Saladin at 28. You're going to need lots of crystal. And then when you get your, you're either going to need a lot of gas here or a lot of crystal or some gas for an auger, because this is mostly ore, but gas is the secondary resource for it. So you're going to want to kind of save those resources for these or use them to finish up your 28s to get that strong enough to carry you from 28 to 34. So skip the faction miners. They're also available in the faction store. But like I said, you're going to have plenty of those later on down the road. Separatist D3 is a collector's item. Again, the ship itself isn't good, but this is the only way to get it is through here. Again, if you got nothing else to spend your money on, sure, knock yourself out if you really want one, but it has very little gameplay value to you. The ship next to it, however, the Meridian, has a lot of gameplay value. The only way to get this is currently through an event store. It does not have any other mechanism to source it in the game right now. So if you do not have a Meridian yet, and you're at least Ops 25, this is kind of a top of the list big ticket item in my opinion. Mining isogen, the research that becomes involved in that whole tree all require refined isogen, and it's going to start to require large chunks of it. So having a Meridian that can mine that very quickly, complete game changer. It also gives you a separate refinery option in your territory refinery when you have, so you have your normal isogen refineries and then you have your other conversions. But when you have a Meridian, you also get this iso emulsion to iso resin refinery, which pays you out this iso resin stuff, as well as these particles. The only way to get these particles, which you need for a lot of researches in that territory tree, is to hold the territory that has them. And it's near impossible to have territories overlapping the right way to get access to all three. Very, very difficult. There's only one little spot that you can really do it in the center of the map that'll overlap and give you all three. Most likely you're going to have one if you're in like a corner of an area. If you kind of branch out a little bit, you might be able to overlap into two. So having an alternate way to pick this up is pretty good. Again, the quantities are small. This is a tier 9 Meridian. I'm getting 24 of these potentially a day. And the researchers do, eventually start taking hundreds. But it is, it does add up. And this iso resin is used specifically for a handful of items in the territory tree. There are ISO charge deflector shields, defense cannons, cargo hold, and close encounters. Each of these are mostly related to PvP combat, reducing damage taken, improving your damage taking while you're defending when someone's attacking you, just boosting your overall max cargo size of all survey ships, which is awesome. Boost your miners, boost that amalgam. And close encounters here is when you are attacking or defending on either a mining node or a capture node. So this is not just limited to mining ships. So if you're in territory conflict and you have a bigger ship parked on a capture node or a mining node, just for points, you would get a bonus to your damage as well. But it does take this iso resin, which you can only get if you have the Meridian and can do that refined. So multiple purposes and benefits to having a Meridian, which is why it kind of is, if you don't have one and you're 25 or above, it's kind of one of the things you want to make sure you look at first, because it's the only way to get it in the game. We talked about the Vidar. The other interesting item right here is the Stella. The path to unlocking the Stella, which I also did a video on, you can check that out for more details. It's complicated. It takes a while to get it. And then the whole mechanism with the Stella is that you build it up and then you scrap it to get the materials that you need to do the research to make the Stella stronger. And the Stella is primarily built through research. Its strength. Tiering it up and adding the additional components, not really having an impact on its value that much, on its overall strength and power. its consistent strength and power gains come through all of the various researches that boost the Stella's shield health, hull health, weapon damage, uh, critical hit chance, critical damage bonus, all that kind of stuff is all done through the Outlaw research tree. Constantly leveling up a Stella and scrapping it is very time consuming and very, a little tedious, a little annoying. And you are going to be limited because of the way the refinery works in the uh, Rogue faction store in terms of getting the materials that you need to upgrade your Stella components, which is why most people have two. You have one that you work on and level up, and you get all the way to 45 and max it out and keep it there. And you use it for doing your armadas and your dailies and your daily refines and all the fun things. And then you have a second one that you level up as far as you realistically can based on your level and what type of armadas and stuff you're doing, and then scrap it, do some research, and rebuild it and start over and start tearing it back up again. But you always have that max one, so you're always getting in armadas, you're always being able to, to go out and kill the Eclipse hostiles and get the codes so you can do your conversions in your daily store. So a second Stella, not a bad way to go. If you do not have your first Stella yet, do not buy this through the store yet. The one you get in the Rogue store through the grind process goes away once you have a Stella. So once you have a Stella unlocked, the ability to get one for free through that path goes away. So grind your way, get that one first. I know it sucks, but you'll thank me later. And then pick up your second Stella here if that's what you're looking for. Again, it's relatively cheap. It's only about 75,000, 76,000 parts to get yourself a second one. Some people have three. I feel like three probably not really necessary, but they always want to have like one maybe that they're scrapping, one that they're working on. Yeah, I don't know. Three to me feels like too many. Two is good. Two is all you need. And I think that's about it. We talked about the Fuchsia earlier. Botany Bay, you don't need a second one of those. And then these are all the other faction ships, which we've already covered there. So now we're down to the last tab. You still with me? I know it's been a while. I've been talking for a little bit. I'm trying to keep this to an hour. I got 7 minutes. Luckily, the last one's short. Officer bundles. We've got our Strange New World officers, including Una, who's limited to 10, picking up 10 Una shards. She's really only available through incursions right now. My two accounts, I think I've got like 45 and 50 Una shards. So picking up, you need 100 to unlock her. Being able to pick up 10 gets me a little bit closer. But, I got 60. Yeah, probably not making a big difference. If she didn't have a limit on her and I could buy the rest of them, maybe unlock her, maybe that'd be something I would consider. Probably not, because I don't think she's that good that I would invest 240,000, basically my whole event store, into just unlocking Una. Probably not that good. Actually, I know she's not that good. The biggest benefit to unlocking her is it lets you keep full synergy above decks and move La'an below deck, where La'an is giving you the benefit to max cargo capacity. So your Vidar that's out grinding Borg probes, or your Franklin that's out grinding swarms, will now have a bigger boost to cargo capacity, so you can get more resources per trip. You don't have to go back and forth as often if you're maxing your cargo out regularly. That'd be the only benefit really to having Una at this time. Her officer ability is just an increased impulse speed, but that's not really a big benefit. I mean, it lets you move faster when you're killing stuff, but the Strange New Worlds crew, the way that they work is they put more of the damage into the shields. So usually you find yourself waiting a few seconds between each kill for the shields to have to go back up. So being able to fly around and kill things faster actually isn't really all that beneficial, because you're going to be sitting there waiting anyway. So it doesn't really necessarily need to be that faster for that. As for like a PvP aspect of it, if you had like, Pan or Burnham or Claw as captain with somebody else giving him synergy, and then through her on the side adding an extra 15, Would that outweigh the third synergy officer? That might depend on the ship and the math a little bit there. Barclay is also here. If you're close to good old Reg, you can pick up the last remaining shards you need for him. Reg is another lower deck officer who adds to protected cargo. 30% is a pretty nice little bump. But again, he's an epic officer, 115 shards to unlock. If you are far away from him, it's going to be too much really to get there all the way. If you're close, like I need 22 shards. That's 132,000. Maybe that's like, a third-ish, 35% of my event store to get Reg unlocked. Maybe. That could be worth it. Wait and see what the final number is. I always wait to the end, or as close to the end as I can get, to find out exactly what I'm working with, and then go look at my spreadsheet and kind of play around with the math. It's a good recommendation for you too. That way you don't start to buy something and realize, oh no, I came up 10,000 short. I'm 2 shards short of Reg. Why did I buy the other 20 or whatever? So just a word of advice. Pike, Laan, Spock, Uhura, Ortegas all have good value. They should have all unlocked them if you've been doing Strange New Worlds for the first 2 months. You should have unlocked each of these officers. Maybe, depending on where you finished on some leaderboards, you might have even tiered 1 or 2 of them up already. If you bought the new ship, the Mantis, at level 33, part of the Mantis, loop, daily grind, hostile hunt thing, gives you resources like the Discovery and some of the other, really just like the Discovery. But again, it's more of a daily kind of thing, whereas opposed to the Discovery, which is 3 or 4 times a week. The Cerritos, the same thing, 3 or 4 times a week. You can make pulls in the refinery, which might give you some officer shards. This is a little bit more of a payout with the Mantis. So these officers are available. These 5 officers are available to source through there. Una is not in that. It's just these 5. If you don't have that ship and you're not planning on buying it, the free-to-play path hasn't been announced yet. You'll get half the ship in the Elite Battle Pass if you buy that for $20. And then realistically, you're probably not going to see the other half of it, or January, February next year. You might pick up the remaining blueprints you need by then. Ballpark. Happy Valentine's Day. You can build your Mantis now. That's kind of where I'm in my head thinking that's going to be. So having access to some of these officers here, again, if you're close to tiering 1 up, maybe pick up a handful of shards to bump them up a notch. Their abilities go from 500% to 750, that tier 1 to tier 2, plus their stats also go up, and since all of their abilities trigger off of a specific stat, there's a big benefit there. Pike, if you're close, right here, I'm only 7 shards away. This will probably be my first thing I want to buy, because it's going to move his -10 to hostile shield mitigation. So the amount of damage, when you attack something, Pike, normally a ship, you shoot something, some of the damage gets mitigated. What's left, 80% of it goes to the shields, 70% goes to the hull. Pike's ability changes that to 70-30. So more damage is going to the hull, less damage is going to the shields, helps you kill your targets faster. When you tier them up to tier 2, this goes to 15%. So now it's 65% going to the hull, to the shields, 35% going to the hull. So getting him up that extra tier could be very valuable. Not going to buy these right now, though, because there are still more events this month. Maybe something else will pop up that offers Pike shards again, or something, toward the end of the month. You never know when it's going to happen. So kind of a wait and see. If we get there at the end of the month and I'm like, all right, what am I going to spend my currency on? I didn't get those 7 Pike shards. Okay, that might be the first thing I buy. He's that good. He's a very solid officer, good stats, good synergies and stuff for away teams as well. So he's got some flexibility there, even if you're not going to use him for the hostile grinding just yet. But even still, Pike Spock is a great hostile grinding crew for swarms. Pike with Uhura and Laan for force synergy is actually better than a lot of the other crews for killing Borg hostiles with the Vidar. And now we've got Ortegas Using a battleship to kill explorers is part of the Mantis loop. The Mantis is a battleship, and what you have to do and kill stuff is explorers. So having her available for that, if you happen to have that ship, is your big benefit there. The other little things they threw in here at the end: PvP Officer Special, opportunity to pick up a handful of shards for Honor Guard Worf and Lorca, who are uh, pretty hard to acquire. Tilly's a nice little benefit. She has synergy with Lorca. Kurla, just cuz, I guess, because he does something with criticals. And, Worf kind of triggers off that, and you kind of wanted an extra guy to throw in to balance this set out. 35,000 for, if epic officer shards are $6,000 a pop, then that's 24 and that's 24. So these guys right here cost you 48 to buy them individually. Well, for 35,000, you're getting this. You're saving 13,000 plus you're getting these guys as a bonus. So the value is certainly there. Whether or not these officers help you to the point where you're close to unlocking them and it makes a difference, that's going to vary for every player. And again, 70,000 to pick up 8 officer shards. If you're, if these are like the first 8 officer shards for Worf you're going to get, you're spending, that's a long-term investment. You're spending something now that you're not going to get a payoff for, but 3, 6, 12 months down the road, it's going to get you him unlocked a little quicker. Honor Guard Worf is in the Ultra Recruit packs. Tilly's in the Discovery pack. If you have the Discovery refit for the ship, which is not available in the store, people asked for it, but they didn't want to give it to us yet. They were just selling it a couple weeks ago, again, for $19.99. If you have that refit, it adds Lorca to the Discovery store and gives you a higher payout in terms of officer shards when you're buying your packs with those Discovery Recruit tokens. So that would be another avenue to acquire Lorca shards. Kurl is a basic Klingon. He's in the Klingon Recruit packs. He's in all kinds of officer packs. He's one of the first officers in the game. So Kurl is not hard to source at all. So really just throw him away. You're looking at these guys here. This is 48,000 plus another 8,000 for her is 56,000. You're getting for 35. The other 2 bundles, Lower Deck Special. These are your Lower Deck officers. Here's all 5 of them that are available in the game. These are randomly when you're doing if you have a Cerritos at 36. When you do your refines for that, which you can do 3.5 times per week, or all 7 days if you only do the 1 box per day. Most people do the 2 box pull. You get 7,000 currency. Costs 1,000 to do it, so you could do it 1 every day or 2, 2, 2, 1. You have like a 50-50 chance of getting officer shards in addition to your Cerritos parts. Not very consistent. You don't know which officer you're going to get. It's not like you get all the officers. So, again, 24,000, 48,000, 56,000, 64,000, and we'll say Badgie shards are 500 apiece. So 66,000 in value for 30k. Picking up 8 shards for Tendi gets me closer to unlocking her. Picking up 8 shards for Rutherford actually would tier him up. 8 shards for Boimler gets him close to tiering up. So there's some value here for me. Depending on where you are with your officers, you might be, more a bit further away. Like getting 8 shards for Beckett right here gets me a little closer, but I'm still like 50 away at the end of the day. And if that's kind of the place you're in, this might hold less value for you. Overall, the numbers and the math work out that like this is a special, this is a bonus. It does not say a limit on it. I don't know if you can do more than just 2. If the graphic is just wrong, and if you try and buy like a 3rd one, will it let you? Can't say for sure. Lastly, Pike Moreau Chen, Officer Special. 25,000. Well, that's basically Pike. You're getting 4 Pike shards for 25,000, and the rest of this is free. Is it valuable? Yes, it is valuable. It's mostly valuable for the Chen shards. Getting extra Moreau shards is good. You want to tier her up, improve her officer ability. She's available in a couple of different packs. The premium recruit and the ultra recruit do have Moreau shards. Pike is available in the ultra recruit, the discovery pack, and the transporter patterns. So there are multiple ways to get Pike. So it's really just Chen that everybody's clamoring for because you so want her maxed out because of the benefits that this crew gives you for hostile hunting, especially when she's tier 4 or tier 5. There's so many bigger, you can punch up so much in terms of hitting hostiles with this crew way above your weight class. We're talking, 1.2 million Saladin killing, 3 million, 4 million strength traders because you've got a max Chen and you're reducing their damage by like 90%. So it's limited to 2. You're getting 8 Chen shards at best. Does 8 Chen shards make a difference for you? How close are you to moving the needle on her? That's kind of make a difference. Like if you're tier 3 Chen and you need 80 shards to get her to tier 4, is getting the 8 here making that much of a difference? I mean, it's helpful. For the most part, Chen's only available in the premium packs and the standard recruit packs. You actually have a slightly better mathematical chance of getting her out of the premium pack. So Chen's in the premium recruit pack. There are actually a slightly better chance of getting her here because of the payouts. So you've got a 70% of getting officer shards, 5 officer shards in the pack, and there are 23. I think there's 9, 18, 22, 23 uncommons in this pack, but you got a 70% chance, so more than likely you're going to get a bunch of uncommon officers, and then it's 1 out of 23 for pulling her, as opposed to the standard recruit pack, which does have less uncommon officers. There's only like 16 in this pack, but your drop rate is only 3 shards per pack, and your drop rate is 12%. So it's pretty unlikely that you're going to get an uncommon officer at all, and then even if you do, it's a 1 out of 16 chance of pulling a Chen shard. People dump tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands worth of Latinum, because you can buy these packs with Latinum, trying to chase those last few Chen shards to tier her up. So if they're offering you another way to get her, it's probably a good another long-term investment to take it while you can. May not seem like much, but it's probably going to help you more in the long run. So again, it's another bit of a long-term investment there. Lastly, is this Ultra Recruit tokens. To pay on this, not so great. You got to buy 4 chests, so for 11.6, you get 1 Ultra Recruit pull. Not really thrilled with that payout there either. That's it. That's everything. That's the whole store. I know I ran over an hour, and I'm sorry. Thank you guys for staying with me this long. Hopefully you learned something and understand a little bit of my mentality and my strategy when I'm evaluating this kind of stuff. I appreciate you watching the video and hanging out as long as you have. Again, hit the like button. Leave a comment. Let me know what you're planning on buying, what you think is going to provide your account the most value and that you're going to take away from this event store. Again, it does vary a little bit per ops level, what you can get, but I hope this helped. And until next time, see you around the galaxy.